joined today by Peter Bewick, Managing Director of Hamelin Gold. Peter, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Tanami Desert is the region you're operating in. People hear the word desert and think isolated, hard to work. What's the infrastructure really like?
It's actually not that bad. I've worked in some pretty isolated chunks of the earth, and the Tanami is quite remote, so it's right up against the Northern Territory border. The Tanami Road pretty well cuts our project in half. It's a road that goes from Halls Creek in the northwest down to Alice Springs. Currently being bitumised. It might take quite a while to get it finished, but it's part of the key infrastructure of Australia that's being upgraded and developed, and it's going to become a real key access and real arterial road for that part of the world, and we're right basically smack bang on that piece of road. So we get flights to Halls Creek in and out in one day. It's really actually quite an easy place to operate once you sort of get your logistics sorted out, so not as remote as some people think.
When you look at neighbourhoods like where you operate, it's always interesting to know, are there any big brothers around? Is there any bigger operations that you can draw analogies from? What's the neighbourhood like?
It's phenomenal. I mean, most people probably can't even put a pin on the map to show where the Tanami is, but it hosts one of Australia's great gold deposits, the Tanami operations of Newmont's. Now, Newmont's the world's largest gold producer. The Tanami operations are Newmont's lowest cost gold production. They produce 500,000 ounces a year of gold and expanding up to 700,000 ounces, and they're looking to produce out to 2040. So this is it's a 20 million ounce gold system thereabouts, and it's clearly a world-class tier 1 gold asset. So Newmont, massive presence. Northern Star are in joint venture with Tanami Gold to the north of the Calais operations. And then you've got a sort of a string of juniors that hold very large land positions. Ourselves, Hamelin, and also Prodigy Gold. And there's a few other juniors up there, but certainly Northern Star and Newmont, you know, they're the big boys. So we're very happy to be in a district and have a very large land position where majors are operating. So it's got a good address. We're in a great neighbourhood.
You could argue that the address of the neighbourhood's been largely overlooked from an exploration point of view, mainly because it has been tough to explore there, but technology's been your friend?
Yeah, it's a sand-covered desert. I mean, when you look at most gold discoveries and most mineral discoveries around Australia, it's really, a lot of them have been where a prospector's whacked a rock and identified something at surface. There's things like the great Tropicana discovery, the Nova Bollinger discoveries in that Fraser Range region, but the number of undercover exploration stories, they're becoming more common, but it's not something that is typical. So if you take old world technology and apply it to an undercover terrain, you can waste a lot of money and you can do a lot of ineffective exploration. And the West Tanami really has been held by juniors over many decades, and a lot of the work they've done was very good, but there's large chunks of what they've done which really we've now proved to be fundamentally ineffective. So we've now started looking at some of these ineffectively tested areas, looked at new technologies. So the one that we've really put an announcement out in late September was the first time that we'd gone into almost, you know, sort of commercial production stage of the ultrafine technology soil sampling, which was developed by CSIRO. And they looked at how can you possibly magnify a metal anomaly in an area of sand cover that's dominated by inert quartz sand. And what they did was looked at the -2 micron tiny clay fractions, which seem to sort of magnify or strip out a lot of metal and concentrate it on those clay particles. If they can strip those clay particles out, analyse them separately, what you can do is essentially generate a magnified response through that sand. And we generated a most amazing 1 kilometre long gold anomaly, almost 30 to 40 times background, so really significant. Sat on a beautiful structure, so almost like textbook of where you want it to occur. That was the 26th of September. We then got monitoring completed with the local TOs. We got a rig mobilised from Perth, and 15 days later we had 67 drill holes into these 2 anomalies we generated through the ultrafine. So it's interesting, back to your last question, people say Tanami is difficult, can be hard, but you can also be well organised and maybe a little bit lucky and get things done very, very quickly up there. So new technologies, real focus on having all your ducks in a row to get your exploration programs done. And if we can show success with this new technology, we have 2,500 square kilometres where we can potentially apply in areas where it has been ineffectively drilled in the past. So we're really excited about the new tech, and what we do know, we can't pattern drill across that large area and expect to stay solvent that long. So we need a smart new technology, and this is one of the sort of the toolkit that we're building up and how to explore in the Tanami Desert.
Where to from here? What does the next 6-12 months look like, and what should investors be focusing on?
Well, absolutely. What I'm very focused on, and I think other investors would be, is the massive number of drill holes and drill programs which we're expecting results back for in the next few months. So we've just completed 17,500 metres of drilling. Most of that is still in the laboratory waiting for analysis. So we'll see assays come back over October, November, December, where we will see how effective our targeting is, how good are we at working through this sand-covered terrain. From there, we will gear up and look at advancing those successful programs and potentially look at, hopefully, sometime next year, really putting the foot down and potentially going to resource drilling if we can see the success that we're hoping for in some of these early programs.
A little bit different to a standard exploration company, you've attracted and retained key shareholders. What role do they play, and how interested are they in what you're doing?
Yeah, so we've had since listing Goldfields and Silver Lake Resources, both really well-respected gold producers in Western Australia on the register. Our recent raising, they actually increased their holdings. They now both hold 15% of the company. So a big chunk of our company is held by those two groups, and they have been super supportive, both technically, the debate, discussion, going through our results and seeing what we're doing, and super supportive of the work that's going on in the team. So they're great shareholders. They've been fantastic. They hold a big chunk of the company, and we're very keen to make sure that support continues.
Big land holding, quality neighbours, quality shareholders. Exciting times ahead for Hamelin and its shareholders. Peter, thanks for your time.
Thanks, David. Cheers.